The Great Gospel of John, Volume 1. Near Sychar at Jacob's well, Chapter 27. Continuation of the scene, about true worship of God in spirit and in truth. John, Chapter 4, verse 17. The woman answered, I have no husband. Says Jesus to her, You are right in saying that you have no husband. The woman replies to that quite pertly, I have no husband. Whereupon I say to her with a smile, That was brief, good, and correct. Now you have really spoken the truth. John chapter 4, verse 18. You have had 5 husbands, and the man with whom you are now living is not your husband. You told me the truth there, how things are with you. For behold, my dear, you have already had 5 husbands, and, since your nature was not in accord with theirs, they soon fell ill and died, for not one could last more than a year with you. You have bad vermin in your body, and your vermin soon kills anyone who sleeps with you. The man you have now is not your husband, but only your lover towards his and your ruin. Yes, yes, you have really told me the truth. John chapter 4, verse 19. The woman says to him, Sir, I can now see that you are a prophet. Here the woman is startled, but does not want to commit herself, and says after a while, Sir, I see that you are a prophet. Since you know so much, you may also know what could help me. John chapter 4, verse 20. Our fathers worshipped on this mountain, Gerizim, but you Jews say that the temple where God should be worshipped is in Jerusalem. Which of these is valid before God? I am aware that in such things God alone can help. But how and where should he be worshipped? Our fathers say that God must be worshipped on Mount Gerizim, where already the first patriarchs worshipped him. But you say that Jerusalem is the right place where God should be worshipped. Since you are obviously a prophet of God, tell me where one should really worship God effectively. For look, I am still young, and people say that I am very beautiful. It would be terrible if my vermin were to consume me while I am still alive. Oh, what a poor miserable woman I am. John chapter 4, verse 21. Says Jesus, Believe me, woman, the time is coming and is already here, when you will worship God the Father, neither on this mountain nor in Jerusalem. Say I, Woman, I know your poverty, your misery and your sick body, and I know also your heart, which is not really the best, but also not too bad. Behold, that is the reason why I am now speaking to you. Where the heart is still reasonably good, there is every possibility of help. But you are quite wrong in that you are in doubt as to where God should be worshipped worthily and effectively. Believe me when I tell you, the time is coming, and it is already here, when you will worship the Father neither on the mountain nor in Jerusalem. Here the woman is alarmed and says, Woe upon me, woe upon the whole nation! What will then become of us? Then we must have sinned terribly, just like the Jews. But why did Jehovah not send us a prophet this time who would have warned us? Although you have come to us as a true prophet, what is the use now if you say, In future God will be worshipped neither on the mountain nor in Jerusalem? Does not that mean as much as, which I could read from your suddenly very serious face. God will forsake his people completely and take residence with another nation? Where on earth may this be? Oh, do tell me, so that I may go there to worship God the Father as a true penitent, asking him to help me, a wretched woman, and not to forsake my people completely. To that I reply, now listen to me carefully, so that you may understand what I am saying. Why are you full of doubt and fear? Do you think God is as faithless concerning the keeping of his promises as men are toward each other? John chapter 4, verse 22. You do not know what you worship, but we do know what we worship, for salvation still comes from the Jews. You do climb the mountain there to worship, but do not know what or whom you worship. The same applies to those who worship on Jerusalem. They do run into the temple, there creating a terrible ball, but they do not know either what they are doing and what they are worshipping. Nevertheless, as God has pronounced through the mouth of the prophets, salvation does not come from you, but from the Jews. Just read the 3rd verse in the 2nd chapter of the prophet Isaiah, and you will find it. Says the woman, yes, I do know that there it is written that the law goes forth from Zion, since it is also kept there in the ark of the covenant. But why do you say then, neither on the mountain nor in Jerusalem? John chapter 4, verse 23. But the time approaches indeed, it is already here before your eyes, when those who are real worshippers will worship the Father in spirit and in truth, for the Father wants to be worshipped by men in this way. Say I, you still have not understood me. Behold, God the Father from eternity is neither a mountain nor a temple, nor the ark of the covenant, and thus does not dwell on the mountain or in the temple or in the ark of the covenant. Therefore I told you, the time is approaching and indeed is already here, before your eyes, when the true worshippers, as you can see them here resting under the trees in great numbers, some of whom you had already met in the town on their way to buy food, will worship God the Father in spirit and in truth, for from now on the Father wants to be worshipped by men in this way. John chapter 4, verse 24. For God is a spirit, and those who worship him must worship in spirit and in truth. For behold, God is a spirit, and those who worship him must worship in spirit and in truth. And for that, neither a mountain nor any temple is needed, but only a loving, humble, and as pure as possible heart. If the heart is what it is meant to be, namely, a vessel for the love of God, a vessel full of meekness and humility, then such a heart holds the full truth. And where there is truth, there is light and freedom, for the light of truth liberates every heart. Once the heart is free, the whole person is free too. Therefore, he who loves God with such a heart is a true worshipper of God the Father, and the Father will always grant his prayer. He will only look at a man's heart and take no notice of the place of worship, which is quite unimportant, be it the mountain or Jerusalem, for the earth belongs to God everywhere. I think you should have understood me now.